Okay, so, um, not to exploit myself, but I'm thinking I should make a series around shadow work, doing shadow work and sharing the process with you guys because I feel like it's helpful. It's helpful to me. And I'm just trying to explore all avenues of what brings joy in my life. And that last video was extremely intense and required a lot of bravery. Um, but it was good because when you start at the top, then it's like everything else is easy. So I think, I don't know, I see how it goes, but I'm thinking maybe just as things come up, things that I'm comfortable with sharing, maybe I could share my process of how I kind of dig into triggers and moments that come up by giving you real life examples by going through it with you in the moment. Anyways, I was thinking because today, just now actually, I had something come up that came up for the first time in a way that I like had to really see it, and very publicly like a week or two, maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And so I'll tell you the circumstance. So I had been in the kitchen in this place that I was staying for 2 months, and I was working alongside a bunch of other people. And this man, called my name, and I got nervous and like kind of tense. And I was like, yes. And he was like, what? And I was like, nothing. I thought I was in trouble. And then he was like, what's that about? And then I was like, I don't know, but let's not look into it. um, and so, yeah, and I do. And so then I was just in like a bit of a daydream fantasy, and I was walking around this room, and I was like imagining me and my lover. And anyways, so I was like imagining like her coming around the corner while I was doing something, and then she asked me a question, and I was like, "What?" And I like had the same reaction of being tense. I just saw 222, of being like tense and nervous. And she was like, "Why do you do that?" So that came up again, first in like a real life example, and then in a fantasy. Anyways, I thought I'd look into that because I honestly haven't dived super deep into it. So at this place that I was, we do a lot of reflecting, and during one of the times of reflection, we did this form of unpacking waking life moments the same way you would unpack a dream. And so I did write a little bit about what I felt like was going on. So actually, maybe I'll reference that just so that I can kind of begin somewhere. But when it comes to Friday reflection, hmm, um, oh gosh, maybe I didn't end up actually writing this out the way I thought I did. Oh, here it is. Yeah, it was the last thing I ever wrote about in this journal. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Um, oh yeah, and it made me, yeah, I felt insecure. Okay, so anyways, why do I kind of tense up when people call my name? And why do I tense up when I'm approached at all? Because I also have the same reaction walking down the street, kind of in any public space. If if I think I'm going to be engaged with, I automatically get kind of nervous. And I'm not sure if this is something that kind of everybody deals with or not, but it's just like this hypersensitivity, and um, it's like a little bit of a fear of being attacked or confronted or just being put in a situation where I would be in danger in some way or form. But the thing is, it's only activated up until the point of engagement. And then sometimes I allow it to show once I'm being engaged. But most times, if somebody's just talking to me um, and I feel comfortable, the feeling will go away immediately. But when it comes to being with people who I already feel a little bit intimidated by, or I don't necessarily feel completely safe with, um, yeah, then I guess that energy is more prominent and I get more nervous. Ugh, it's so scary working through shadow work like this. I've never done it like this before. And I guess I'm feeling like a bit of insecurity around, like because it takes a while. Oh, I just saw 555. Because it takes a while to think things through. And so I'm like feeling kind of insecure that I don't have the answer right away. But I don't. And that's part of shadow work. It's kind of just a journeying into and not trying to rush yourself into knowing exactly what the root of the problem is. But I mean, I have this thing with my name. It's so funny because I just left this place, and on the card that they give me, they give everybody a card when you leave, and everybody says goodbye, and it's really sweet. And on the card, my name was, there's multiple different spellings of my name on that card, and multiple pronunciations of how people know how to say my name. And I've really learned not to take it personally and not to be too attached to, the correct form. And not because I don't understand that there is value and power in your name being said correctly, but just because I've learned that it's about the intention for me, at least. It makes life easier overall because my name is from a different language and it causes too much stress on me to always have to feel like I always have to advocate for myself. It's like scary. It just feels like a lot. And something else I've noticed is that when I am immediately when I'm put into a situation where I'm being confronted, my immediate reaction is to begin crying. I don't usually actually start crying. Um, Maybe there's been some times where I have, but usually, like, when you start to shake, it's like my body goes into such a, it really carries on the like psychological effects of the trigger. It shows physically. I like my voice shakes, my hand shakes, shake. My body is like, it becomes like a nervous wreck very visibly. And I hate that because it makes me feel even more vulnerable. And sometimes it shows more physically than I actually feel it on the inside. Sometimes it's not that stressful on the inside, but my body will like, and I feel like maybe that's probably because there's like a pent up that emotion or the feeling of like anxiety around being confronted or being put in situations where like the light is on you in an aggressive way. It's an experience that whenever I've had experiences like that, I've never stood up for myself, or I've never had a situation where I spoke back. I was never confrontational back. Um, at least not in situations like that with people other than family. Like the only person I could think I've actually been confrontational with is like my sisters, and that's because they're my sisters. So it's easier because I don't feel unsafe with them. Um, but I really like I've never really stood up for myself. Um, when being confronted, I've just kind of navigated it. I've just kind of used whatever I could, whatever social skills I have, and resources in my environment to navigate it. But I don't always really go after things um, in like a stand your ground type of way. Even though in my head I will, have all the scenarios where I'm standing up to my people and I have an attitude and I've got quick remarks and, I'm a badass and I'm strong and intimidating in my head. But in reality, that's not how it happens. And I think maybe even the way my body reacts versus how I feel on the inside is a reflection of that. Like in reality, in the physical, in my body, the nerves show, the fear shows, the desire to not be in an aggressive state and not be confronted and not be in a clash or in friction or in tension really, really shows, even if mentally it's a little bit different. And so there's like a lack of alignment there between, I guess, my mental and my physical. Because spiritually, I feel like spiritually I'm more balanced than I have been in a while. Than I have been in a while. But physically, but my physical and mental state, I think, tend to clash a lot. And I think I need to probably work on healing healing that relationship between the two. Separately, I think it's its own thing, and I don't think there's a whole lot of problems there. But I think my relationship between my physical state and my mental state, that relationship is something that needs to be healed. And I'm thinking about where I experience like pain in my body, and it's usually at connecting points. Like it's in my lower back and in my hips is where I experience a lot of aches and just tension and tightness. And if you think about it, like the hips and the lower back are the connecting points between the upper half of your body and the lower half of your body. And your hips and your lower back is also where your root is. So that's your base and your foundation. And so if there's tension there and there's discomfort there, then the rest of your body is also going to be feeling the effects of that in whatever way that it is projected outward. That tension is reflected in different parts of your body. And even thinking about like the lower being the physical and the higher being the mental or the spiritual, or just the more intangible. And the lower being the physical, or the lower being the body and the upper being the mind. It's interesting that there's tension at the connecting point physically, and there's tension at the connecting point mentally that I've noticed. And why I think I'm always in trouble, I think is probably connected to kind of what I was talking about in that last video, where I was talking about the fact that I've always had this, I've really struggled for a while with this negative self-perception that makes me think that I'm evil. And I don't mean, like, I don't want to be dramatic, but I'm not being dramatic when I say that that is really how I felt for a very long time. I really had to work to tell myself and to help myself see that I'm not an evil person. I don't know, like I was saying in the other video, I really am not sure exactly where that comes from. I just know that it's there because I remember, it's a very, the way my mind is, and the way that I see myself in like when it comes to that voice is very, very different than it has been at pretty much any other stage in my life. Like this is the healthiest that inner voice has ever been, and the healthiest my mind has ever been. And it's so interesting because you know that you are not your mind and you are not, your body, and yet you are. But you're not, because I've always known that I have a really negative inner voice in my head. But that inner voice was not me, because it was always a battle between the two of us. And I could recognize very clearly that that was not me, but it was this bully, and it was really, really hard to work through. But yeah, I think that maybe the calling of my name kind of, because I guess you can connect at some point, or I guess I could connect at some point my name with my identity. And my name, it's like it has a very specific meaning that tends to be pretty impactful in my life and relevant, and it means to be enough, or it means like the girls are enough, but yeah, it means to be enough. And that's constantly an energy that I'm trying, or like a phrase that I'm trying to really work into my body and my mind, my heart, and really accept that, and like that idea of sufficiency. Um, and so, but I think mixed with the fact that whenever I do hear my name, I'm rarely hearing it pronounced correctly. And as of recently being like the past 5 years, it's been very rare that I would hear my actual name at all, because I had started going by Zan, because it just made life easier. And I just kind of settled for that, even though I really don't like that name. And so, actually, I'm really proud of myself, because when I got to this place that I was staying at for 2 months, I didn't introduce myself as Zan. I introduced myself as Zanala. And there are different ways to pronounce my name. And it's funny because when I was at this place, there is a woman who was born in Zimbabwe, and she said, "Oh, so your name is Zanele." And that was so funny because it's been really rare that I hear people say my name that way, which is the correct way to say it culturally. That way in like North America, I don't hear that very often. And so that was cool. That was nice. But I also consider the way that I say it, which is Zanala, um, Zanala, yeah, as fine too. Like, it's one of those, it's a thing for me that it's very fluid, my name. And I like it that way. And it's hard though, because sometimes there's this pressure by like the outside world, especially by people who don't really have complicated names, to be like, you have to make people pronounce your name correctly. And sometimes it's like, like, you don't understand. And it's a very specific relationship that people have with their name. Or let me speak for myself. It's a very specific relationship that I have with my name, and it's complicated, but it's really between me and her. And like, I just feel like it's not cool to try and push on, and I know that it's done from good intentions, but also it's kind of controlling, and it's also kind of like superior, like, oh, if you don't make people always pronounce your name right, then you don't have self-respect. And it's just not true. And it's so it just simplifies something that's a really complex relationship. um but anyways, um yeah, why do I tense up? I don't know. I just like, it's just, I think there's also like this fear around being seen. I feel like there's this fear around being seen and being like called out and acknowledged. And it's just like, ooh. And I feel the most seen when I have my name said, because I don't hear my name very often. So it's different if someone just comes up to me and starts talking to me but doesn't say my name. You know what I think? I think my name is a very intimate space for me. Because it's not said correctly very often, most of the time when I'm being addressed and someone's calling my name, they're not actually saying my name. They're saying something else. It's not my name if it's not pronounced correctly. And I say correctly in a very fluid sense. I'm very open to what I accept with pronunciation, but there are things that I don't accept. And the things that I don't accept are often the ways that people say my name anyways, when they're forgetful, they're just not trying, they don't care. There's a bunch of different things. Um, but yeah, so most often when I'm addressed, I'm not actually hearing my own name, even when someone's saying my name. So name is even a very complicated term for me. Um, but yeah, so when I do hear my name said correctly, it's intimate and it's difficult, and it's like, like, what's going on? Yeah, but why is it like that? And it's like, it's like someone would only be calling out to me to critique me. But the thing is, I don't know where that comes from, because I didn't have that type of relationship with like teachers or like with my parents or anything. Like, I wasn't the type of person that was berated. I was very lucky to have a pretty smooth and positive experience with authority. I wasn't targeted and yelled at whenever I was being addressed. So I don't know where that fear or tension comes from, or this just desire to shrink myself. I think it's almost like when I'm being acknowledged, it makes me feel like I'm being too loud. And you know what? I one thing I can think of is that I was always told that I was loud, and that's always been a thing among friends, among family. That I'm loud, um, and it hasn't always been said in a positive sense. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. And I don't think I take it that personally. It doesn't really hurt my feelings that much, or at least I don't think so. But I do like connect with the feeling that maybe when I hear my name called, I know that I do shrink. When I hear my name called, I'm like, and even if it's just for a minute that I shrink, and then when I see the person who's calling me, then I open up again. It kind of depends on the level of safety that I have attached to the person that's saying my name. It's also almost feeling like maybe my name is like a burden on somebody's tongue. So it's like apologizing. It's like I shrink to like almost apologize for the fact that the person even had to say my name or had to try or whatever. But yeah, that idea of being too loud, which is so interesting because I feel that I'm actually quite quiet. I feel that I'm quite quiet and not like in volume. I know that I'm a loud person, but I feel like I'm quiet I feel like I'm quiet in the sense that I don't feel like I say that much about myself in actuality. So I so I don't know why I feel like I'm loud. And yeah, when I'm talking about loud, when I've been told that I'm loud, it's because of volume, and I am loud. But when it comes to being loud, comes to me feeling loud when someone calls my name, it's more so about being too much. And I don't know why I feel like my presence is too much. Um, I am a Leo rising, and I think in the ways that that can produce insecurity around how much space you take up, I do experience that. Sometimes and I had that negative voice in my head, it was really prominent around taking up too much space and being like very inconsiderate and very selfish. Like at my core, I was selfish. That was the voice. That's what the voice would tell me. So I think that maybe there's even some deprogramming that I need to do that doesn't really have anything to do with the outside world, but just about the different ways that that voice in my head, because it's gone now. Honestly, it's there's only like a ghost of it left, but that voice is dead. It's gone. And that's a celebration. But yeah, it's gone. So the only thing that's left is like the ghost of it, and every time it comes up, it's really easy to shut down now. So I think though what I'm seeing now, it's kind of like after somebody in your family passes on, and like now you have to go and deal with like clear out their house, or maybe there's a bunch of things that they left um, unchecked, and now you have to go do these things. It's kind of like all the things are coming up that are needing to be addressed, that were left behind by the damage that this voice did to my self-confidence and my perception of myself, and it's now coming forward because it has the room to come forward without being shut down by the voice or being hyper critiqued. Like there was no room. Part of the thing about shadow work and why you have to start with the way that you see yourself, or I've had to start with the way that I see myself, is because it's so funny because alignment happens in so many interesting ways. But whenever I'm charging my computer, the numbers are usually always mirroring the time on the clock in some way. It happens so often. Like it was just 81 and 82 just now, 81%, and then 810. And like it's been doing it with the different things. And I usually get messages through looking at those numbers or just the numbers that appear on my screen. Anyways, um, yeah, it's interesting alignment. And just it's interesting the way that spirit will get through to you, try to get through to you. Um, but yeah, it's the reason I had to start with this, with how I see myself and self love. And I think why self love is such a huge thing right now, and it's kind of spearheading this movement towards expanding love overall in our world, is because it's almost like nothing else can get done while that voice is kicking you while you're down. There's no room. You can't stand up, you can't go digging through anything, you can't move when that voice is sitting on you, when that voice is attacking you. It's too much. It's too much weight. So that's the first thing that has to be battled. That's the first thing that has to be taken down. And it's a big project. It can take years. I think it probably, I've noticed it's died this year, but I don't even really remember when I started, fighting back against the voice. And I think in some ways we're always trying to fight back, but I don't know when I really began the battle. And when that first project began, I imagine it was years ago though. It was probably when I first moved to New York, because that was the year that I came out, and my queerness was a huge way that that voice would bully me, especially through sexuality, which I didn't actually, well, I kind of touched on a little bit in that other video, but yeah. um yeah um okay, well, I don't know why, but I feel the need to give clarity around the other video. I think probably just because I'm scared, and it was a lot, so I'm just wanting to protect myself, I guess, and protect uh, my nerves. But when I say child, I mean anyone under, anyone under 18. But I also consider children, 19 and under, to be a child. As somebody who's past 19 now and was 19, I still feel like I was very much so a child. And I honestly feel like under 25, you're really giving child. Like, I feel like a child. I'm 22 and I feel like a kid. But, anyways, this is, it's not connected. But yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. It's just, yeah, this fear around being seen, this fear about being a burden. Why do I feel like a burden? It's just like, why do you feel like a burden? It's so sad sometimes, hearing the things that are true, but it's hard to hear because it's just like, oh, I wish you didn't have to feel that way. Um, or if you didn't feel that way, you don't have to feel any type of way, but I wish you didn't. And I know I'm working through it, and it's a lot easier to do shadow work now, and I'm very lighthearted as I do it because I've been doing this for a while now, like every day. But in the beginning, it was very hard and emotional, and it took a lot of time, and I would stop and I would get tired. So, like, another thing is, don't judge your process and don't rush your process, because it happens how it happens. It's going to happen either way, because shadow work is like, it's like a forest fire. It is going to happen if there's too much congestion, if there's too many trees too close together and all these flammable things, and it's hot. It's going to get hot because the seasons are always going to change. Um, then then there's going to be fires always, and shadow work is that fire. It comes and it clears. And so shadow work can happen to you, or you can utilize shadow work as a magic tool to help you clear things out so that it's not traumatic and it's not a burning and a destruction. of the things that you love and care about, and of the versions of yourself that you weren't ready to let go of because, whoa, like what's happening? Instead, it can be this like a ritual, like a clearing ritual, a ceremony for you. Um, yeah, rather than something traumatic. And it makes me think of how the indigenous people, at least here in BC, and I don't know about across other areas, and I know that it's a bunch of different tribes and cultures within the uh, indigenous race or community in North America, in Canada, and Turtle Island. But it makes me think about how they spoke about, when they had this land, um, they would maintain the forests. They would cut things out and they would do burnings. Oh, I just saw 333. Yeah, they would do burnings, which is like doing your shadow work. They would do the burnings every so often to make sure that forest fires didn't happen. Forest fires aren't just a result of climate change. They happen naturally when things don't get cleared out. And things don't get cleared out when there's no intervention. Things have to be intervened with. Not everything is allowed to just grow wild and crazy forever and ever. Amen. It's not always a great thing to just let things be. Sometimes you got to go in there and intervene. It's the same way we ask, those who are in positions of power to do something when something happens and not just let it be, you know. It's important that we intervene. It's important that we engage. And as people who move, that is how we use our movement to be an ally. It's like, the trees move, but not in the same way we do. So they can't just knock themselves over and clear each other out, the same way that we could help them clear things out so that they don't have to burn in this really destructive way for themselves and for the environment and for the creatures who create homes in their environments. Like, this is the role that we play, and this is the role that you play in the self-care of yourself with shadow work. You go in, you intervene. It's like, this is why with the Buddha, this is why I was really connecting with Zen, because they were talking about how everybody's the Buddha, you know? Everybody's the Buddha. And I would like to be the laughing Buddha, but everybody's the Buddha. And they were talking about how yeah, everybody's Buddha. The Buddha's within you. Everybody is God. Everybody has that within them. God is not, that's why God is kind of just, and it depends on how you see it. It's very unique to everybody's perspective. And mine is very fluid, but yeah, we all play God because we all are God. And, parts of the way that you help yourself is divine intervention. It's you are the divine. You are intervening when you're doing things like shadow work. You're clearing things out. And yeah, it's hard and it's painful and it's tough, but it's got to be done. And pain is required for all things because it makes sure that you're feeling what this thing feels like so that you know not to go back to it again. Everything can't feel good. If everything felt good, it would be really hard to decipher what's good for you and what can be let go of. Oh, 333 is just all around. But yeah. Well, what was that talking about? And it's talking about balance. Yeah, bringing things into balance. That's what divine energy does. It brings things into balance. It reminds you of alignment, which is why as I'm looking at these numbers, it's helping me. It's like really good for me to stare at numbers because it speaks, and it speaks in a quiet way that just kind of clears out the clogged and just brings out the clarity, which is really nice. And it's really nice because it helps you understand that clarity doesn't look one way or the other. I think that I have ADHD, and I don't consider it an illness or a struggle, at least not for me. I think it's a gift. I think it's just who I am. It's part of my personality. It's just how I am. And I actually think that it's like a thing in my ancestry. I think a lot of my ancestors also have ADHD. And I think we probably would have just called it part of our personality and might not have even had a name for it. But, anyways, so the way I speak sometimes and the way I think can be very scattered, and I can ramble, and I can kind of take a long time to get to my point, or I'll say my point several times. So, whenever I'm giving readings, they tend to be really long, and sometimes I'm saying the same thing many, many times. And I think that that's kind of part of my ADHD, but it's also part of the way that I express balance and the way that I express the divine. That's my way of interpreting that energy, and that's how I do my work. Um, and there's no right way to do anything. That's what gives me clarity, the stumbling and the fumbling. I'm just not, I don't know if I'll ever really be someone who just, speaks really clear and no hiccups the whole way through. That's not natural to me. And I think that's okay, because this is what's natural, and I don't feel like there's anything wrong with that. But yeah, I'm kind of going off on tangents. Like, that's really just part of my personality, and you've gotta love it or leave it. But yeah, it's like he said, I'm an outdoor girl, waiting on a lady with the been to hell and back again. Waiting on a lady with a, are you wondering where I've been? Yeah, I'm wondering where you been. I'm wondering, been to hell and back again. But like my mama always said, brother, when you're down, you're down. And when you're up. If you ain't 6 feet underground, you're living it up on top. Let's not talk about hard times. Pour some wine, it's summertime. And we're living it, well, we're living it up. Brother, right here, we're living it, well, we're living it up on top. And you got to be grateful for shadow work, because if we didn't have that, we would be messed up. We would be a mess. And I'm not saying that to be like, don't complain, because let me tell you, if there's one thing I do, it's complain. I'll complain all I want to. And I've learned to understand that, God isn't judging me, because that would mean I'm judging me. And I'm trying to be really nice to myself and really patient and compassionate with myself. But Spirit's not judging me. My ancestors aren't judging me. The angels, the spirit guides, my guardian angels, my spirit team, the universe, nobody's judging. Nobody's judging, because we all understand. And so it's just like, let yourself be. Just let yourself be. Let yourself complain if you want to. Just make sure that you're still doing the work. Just don't stop doing the work, and it's fine. Because once you stop, then it's just not good for you. It's not healthy. Don't stop doing the work. I really want chips, but I'm trying to maintain this healthiness. I'm trying to maintain positive health, so I should wait to have those chips until like the afternoon, where I can have it as a snack tomorrow. But then it's like, because I'm gonna leave, I'm gonna fly out, and yeah, I have to throw those chips away. No, so maybe I should have them when I'm watching my movie. So anyways, I think I'm done, clearly, because I'm talking about a whole bunch of other stuff that has nothing to do with this. I feel the urge, I feel the urge, just cause, to pull a little card. So that's what we're gonna do. This is the Ancestor Spirit Oracle cards. And we'll just see what's crack-a-lackin', skiddly-scattling. Brother, when you're down. And when you're up. Should we do 3 cards? Sometimes I hurt my feelings, because I really want to guess what the Oracle card is. And when I don't get it right, I'm like, I'm not psychic. It's so ridiculous. It's like, girl, It can't be that easy. Or could it? Should I actually try and guess? Because no, I'm going to be embarrassed. But you know what? No, I need to stop that because I had this experience when I was at the place where I was staying. I was getting into astrology so much. I really, really enjoyed looking at astrology because it helped me understand people more and be more compassionate. And it was just really fun to learn about, what all of the planets and all the signs really mean by meeting people who have those specific like planets and birth charts and signs and whatever. It was cool because it was like I was learning, active learning, and I really enjoyed that. I really enjoy studying people. Like, I think anthropology, I was going to go into cultural anthropology, but I just didn't. But it's actually something that really interests me. Uh, so brother right here, we're living it well, we're living it up on top. Anyways, I was gonna say I had an experience where I was getting so into it that I was asking if I could guess people's rising signs because I guessed this girl's rising sign and it gassed me up. I felt so good. You have no idea. I felt so amazing because I was like, how did I know that? Anyways, so, but then I wanted to guess people's rising signs, and then I put too much pressure on myself, and like I made it like uncomfortable and like bad. So I don't want to do that. So, anyways, I'm gonna try and guess these cards. Oh. I'm gonna try and guess these cards and see what they are. And I'm really just not gonna take it super seriously, but I am gonna try because and this is me also showing you what it's like to like experiment and try and grow in your gifts. I'm trying to grow my psychic gifts. I want to be able to guess cards, know what they are before they come out. I've had a couple experiences where I've predicted some stuff. It's been like everyday little things, but it stood out to me. And it brings the magic into life and it just makes it so much fun. But anyway, look what came out. Psychic strength. Flipped right down so I could see it. Spirit was like, you gonna see this. Guess that, honey. Okay, anyways. But that's like the alignment that I'm talking about. Like I'm here and I'm talking to you, yabbing about this and that. And then here comes Spirit. Like, that's why you just have to love God. I do consider God and Spirit to be separate, but not really. But like, yes, but like, not really. But like, yes. Okay, so what do you think all these cards are? Okay. Well, it's like they said, I'm an outdoor girl. It's called Living on Top from Hadestown. I really love that musical. It's so good. Okay, I'm gonna try feeling the energy of them. So, maybe I'll show you guys so you can know, and then I'm gonna try and see. So this is the first card. So you know what card this is. Okay, now. Okay, the first thing that came to mind was the be thankful card, like be grateful. I'm gonna leave it. So anyways, I'm just gonna leave it. That's my guess. And yellow was a color that came out pretty strong with that one. Okay, so this is the other one. Take a look. Goodness gracious. Okay. I'm not gonna lie, I saw like a flash of white. So I'm like, was it the spirit guide card? But I didn't actually really get a sense of what it was. But like maybe connect with animals. Something with an animal on it. For some reason, I'm thinking of the deer horns. So I'm gonna guess connect with animals for that one. And then, what's this one? Maybe mediumship, be a channel. That's the guess. And then this one. Oh, this one immediately came to mind was Back to Basics. I opened my eyes so quick. Okay, let's guess. We're just doing a game right now. Okay, let's see. This one. Oh, because I'm going to need to remember what I said. Sorry. So for this one, I think I saw that one. I'm gonna guess inner shaman, but let me see what I actually feel. Hmm. I don't know. I'll go with inner shaman, but I don't actually know what I felt for that one because the ones that came to mind were like find your voice, but it was also because I was just kind of going to something else. That one I don't know. Here's this one. Uh, um, I wanted to say like strength, but I don't think there's a strength one. So then I was thinking of the inner gypsy, like embrace your inner gypsy. That one, I think. And then there's this one. Oh, this one made me think immediately of the socialize and celebrate new beginnings. Okay, so let's look at what they were. Okay, reveal time. Okay. Oh, okay. So this one was actually focused on children, and I said gratitude. Oh, okay, but hold on because this is telling me something. Because whatever card I felt, and then whatever it was is connected. So I said be thankful, and then the card that was there was focus on children. Pregnancy, birth, adoption. That card's been coming out a lot, and every other second I'm like, Spirit, just tell me if I'm pregnant, even though I literally have not done anything with anyone for like 3 years. And still I'm like, am I pregnant? Anyways, family connections. And I said connect with animals. Also, family here for both of them, but respect people, kinship. And I said connect with animals. I don't remember what I said for this one. I didn't say that. Notice the signs. Ugh, what did I say for that one? Ooh, spirit, I don't remember. I'll have to watch it back. Anyways, okay. So I said connect with animals for that one. Y'all, I'm totally forgetting what I said for each of them. Connect with water. I don't remember what I said for that one. Like, oh, well, shut up. Okay, I'm not, so full transparency. I pulled this, and I know that this is the inner gypsy card, and this, I said that this pile was inner gypsy, but this isn't the bottom card. The bottom card was actually remember who you are. And who you are is the inner gypsy. Well, that's kind of cool. Oh, well, maybe this one is where I'm really strong right now. I'm remembering who I am. Because I pulled inner gypsy. Period. Get into nature. Oh! Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up. Okay, I know. It was get into nature, but look at what was right behind. Be an open channel. Girl! I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, but it's giving I'm very close. I'm very, very close. Balance yourself. I don't remember what I said for this one. Oh, wait, hold on a minute. Treat your body well. Okay. I don't remember. Hold on a minute. Oh, for this one, I said awaken your inner shaman. So what did I say for the other one? Oh, I don't remember. Oh, I think for this one, I said new beginnings. Celebrate new beginnings. Oh, oh, sorry. Well, that ain't my fault. That is not my fault. Either way, not me completely messing up this entire thing. It don't matter none. It do not matter. either way, Inner Gypsy. Some of the cards that I guessed were here, so it's still giving talent. It's just not giving all the way talent, but it is giving talent. No, but you know what this is? This is a reflection of the clarity. Not everything comes through in the way that you expect it to. Yeah. Get in tune with your own personal understanding of alignment and don't try and come for me. So much of my personality, honestly, like Kennedy Johnson, not the president, but President Kennedy, on YouTube and also on Instagram, she's like my social media mom or like big sister. Like she's so, I love her. I love her. She's just so herself and she's so awesome. And she's such a unique person and I just really, really love her. And I am the way I am naturally, but I also do know that some of the things that I am, it's because it's like I'm like an annoying little sister that's kind of like after their big sister, but not in a way where I'm like stealing her style, because I would never want to do that to her. But I just really do love her energy. She's so awesome. So I recommend watching her. But anyways, I gotta go. Bye.